Before every great idea, there was a question. Before every awakening, a shadow. Welcome to One Page at a Time, where we explore a single thought that could change everything. Walden, or Life in the Woods, by Henry David Thoreau. But while we are confined to books, though the most select and classic, and read only particular written languages, which are themselves but dialects, and provincial, we are in danger of forgetting the language which all things and events speak without metaphor, which alone is copious and standard. Much is published, but little printed. The rays which stream through the shutter will be no longer remembered when the shutter is wholly removed. No method nor discipline can supersede the necessity of being forever on the alert. What is a course of history or philosophy or poetry, no matter how well selected, or the best society, or the most admirable routine of life, compared with the discipline of looking always at what is to be seen? Will you be a reader, a student merely, or a seer? Read your fate, see what is before you, and walk on into futurity. I did not read books the first summer. I hoed beans. Nay, I often did better than this. There were times when I could not afford to sacrifice the bloom of the present moment to any work, whether of the head or hands. I love a broad margin to my life. Sometimes, in a summer morning, having taken my accustomed bath, I sat in my sunny doorway from sunrise till noon, wrapped in a reverie, amidst the pines and hickories and sumachs, in undisturbed solitude and stillness, while the birds sang around or flitted noiseless through the house, until by the sun falling in at my west window, or the noise of some traveler's wagon on the distant highway, I was reminded of the lapse of time. I grew in those seasons like corn in the night, and they were far better than any work of the hands would have been. They were not time subtracted from my life, but so much over and above my usual allowance. I realized what the Orientals mean by contemplation and the forsaking of works. For the most part, I minded not how the hours went. The day advanced as if to light some work of mine. It was morning, and lo, now it is evening, and nothing memorable is accomplished. Instead of singing like the birds, I silently smiled at my incessant good fortune. As the sparrow had its trill, sitting on the hickory before my door, so had I my chuckle or suppressed warble which he might hear out of my nest. My days were not days of the week, bearing the stamp of any heathen deity, nor were they minced into hours and fretted by the ticking of a clock, for I lived like the Puri Indians, of whom it is said that for yesterday, today, and tomorrow, they have only one word, and they express the variety of meaning by pointing backward for yesterday, forward for tomorrow, and overhead for the passing day. This was sheer idleness to my fellow townsmen, no doubt, but if the birds and flowers had tried me by their standard, I should not have been found wanting. A man must find his occasions in himself, it is true. The natural day is very calm, and will hardly reprove his indolence. I had this advantage, at least, in my mode of life, over those who were obliged to look abroad for amusement, to society and the theater, that my life itself was become my amusement, and never ceased to be novel. It was a drama of many scenes and without an end. If we were always indeed getting our living, and regulating our lives according to the last and best mode we had learned, we should never be troubled with ennui. Follow your genius closely enough, and it will not fail to show you a fresh prospect every hour. Housework was a pleasant pastime. When my floor was dirty, I rose early, and, setting all my furniture out of doors on the grass, bed and bedstead making but one budget, dashed water on the floor, and sprinkled white sand from the pond on it, and then with a broom scrubbed it clean and white. And by the time the villagers had broken their fast, the morning sun had dried my house sufficiently to allow me to move in again, and my meditations were almost uninterrupted. It was pleasant to see my whole household effects out on the grass, making a little pile like a gypsy's pack, and my three-legged table, from which I did not remove the books and pen and ink, standing amid the pines and hickories. They seemed glad to get out themselves, and as if unwilling to be brought in. I was sometimes tempted to stretch an awning over them and take my seat there. It was worth the while to see the sun shine on these things, and hear the free wind blow on them, So much more interesting, most familiar objects look out of doors than in the house. We often confuse activity with meaning. We fill our days with movement, calendars, goals, obligations, and call it life. But what if being still was not a waste of time, but the beginning of wisdom? Thoreau's philosophy in Walden isn't just about escaping society. It's about remembering that life doesn't wait until everything is organized. It's happening now, between two breaths, beneath a summer sun, beside a quiet pine. He didn't spend his first summer reading books. He hoed beans. He listened to the birds. He watched the sunlight move across the floor. He smiled at his own stillness, not because he accomplished anything measurable, but because he had touched something eternal, the present moment, unmarred by time. And in that moment, something in him grew, quietly, like corn in the night. He didn't live by the ticking of a clock. His days weren't cut into hours or named after gods. He lived like the Puri Indians, who speak of time not with words, but gestures. A hand pointing behind for yesterday, forward for tomorrow, and above for today. The present, always overhead, always now. Thoreau teaches us that real living isn't found in routines or theories, but in awareness, in the discipline of seeing. Not merely reading, not merely thinking, but truly seeing. So much is published, but so little is truly understood. We read history, poetry, and philosophy, but miss the poetry of the passing wind. We seek knowledge, but ignore wisdom. Thoreau dares to ask, will you be a reader, a student merely, or a seer? Maybe it's time to stop preparing to live, to stop outsourcing meaning to books, podcasts, and endless goals. Maybe it's time to sit by the window and notice the light, to laugh quietly at nothing, and to feel in your own chest that you are finally alive. Live first. Think later.